Hey associates, this ride-along video is that speed build of the technical descriptions wiki, and I actually started out by asking my intern to give me kind of an outline of how to edit pages in Coda. I just prompted it very specifically and copied those in there, and then am just kind of looking through the content that I had already written in a Word document so I could get all that information, editing everything right. So this speed build is really me now putting my draft essentially from Word into the Coda doc. So I went ahead and opened up my Coda and then started actually following the steps that the intern had given me, right? Making edits and changes as I kind of needed, and really just double checking its work. And so right when we talk about, validate, fact check, edit, or revise what your AI intern does for you, this is a great example of that. Most of the time, at least the base is quite good, it's going to be fine, but you always need to add, refine. And so I'm adding like that little tip that I found and actually testing it out. Oh, Coda lets me, pick a new icon. So let me make sure to add that into the page so my co-workers know what to expect. And as I was selecting those icons as well, like the recommendations were pretty good. And so I was just thinking, okay, what is a small token representation, right, of what that page is all about? I just kind of deleted some of that content that I didn't need and went ahead and wrote this new on actually publishing pages, since I felt like that was going to be more impactful for the co-workers, and just going through the steps, starting with a nice verb, sort of command voice, and adding that content in your instructions, and kind of explanation of the code or of the software that you chose for the wiki, right? It's not going to be long, right? It's not going to be that complicated, but it does need to be documented for your coworkers that have never opened, right, this software, never used the software, and so they need to have that ability to kind of look through. Now I'm starting to write the extra content for the best practices, right, for creating technical descriptions as that other required component in the intro page. Again, of course, it's not just because I need you to, revisit, improve, and just have that, yes, you have learned these concepts of good descriptions, but also in always that very useful kind of mock professional way. This wiki, right, is going to be used by, in my case, like all the aquarium staff. And so I do want to make sure that when somebody adds their own description, right, that it is going to be a useful, usable description that follows along. Okay, so now I'm actually building it out. And so this stage goes quite quick since I already have the content and I'm just copying and pasting it in, depending on the wiki software you use. Pick one that allows you to implement our skip, scan, skim, design and editing features in there. And so here, playing around with their sort of boxes that they have as an option. And then I realized that I could, do the expanding tabs, because that is quite a lot of content that isn't easy to necessarily skip over when it is outlined as that giant of a box. And so explore ways that you can compress and make these things interactive, since the campsite, we know that people will be accessing this on a computer. It is a digital wiki. It is not something meant to be printed or anything like that, and so having some of these interactive features fits for the environment that we would be building this for and anticipating people using it. And so I'm just going through and just a lot of copy and pasting into the different tools and features and formatting. Doing this also shows, right, that information hierarchy, which is a key thing we're kind of practicing in this unit with this project as well, which is the structure of your content and giving people that kind of clear, okay, what is a main topic, what are the subtopics underneath it. Whenever we talk about H1, H2, H3, all of that, think of it as, right, our bullet lists with, H1s as the main bullet, H2 is, a list underneath kind of that list as an easy way to visualize it. Okay, so now I am adding in some of like a heading so people can skip right down to the guidelines, hooray. And making just some of those little edits, checking. You see there, I realized, oh, my hierarchy actually wasn't right. I shouldn't have had that as its own topic. Instead, that is just part of specifically adding pages and then, naming pages. I put it as a different main topic because you could, right, rename a page without necessarily having to add a new one. Maybe you just want to adjust it. And then I changed all of those to those checklist items to, better represent a list, not clutter it up with more accordions. Okay, so then I thought, right, this box is a much better, let me draw their attention to those guidelines and expertise. And that wrapped up my homepage. Not a lot of content, just enough. Okay, so now I'm on that equipment, right? So something with mechanical functions and actual, dimensions that we can describe. So I chose the water filtration system. And I just copy pasted all of this work that I had already done in my Word document. I know that, it's pretty well edited, ran, the checks, all of that kind of stuff. And so it's really just a matter of me copying it over now. I can go through those features. They actually do have an AI tool that I decided to play with. I'm always here to play with these new features. And so here, it said, make it bullet points. And so I told it to do that, and it did, right? Automate, save a lot of time. So, in my kind of stance with it, that all of our AI interns tools, treat them as an intern, do the stuff that's not really that cognitively hard, and automate any work that you can. So that way, right, you spend less time on this and, spend more time on the other, kind of creative, important, more human, meaningful elements. And so that was a good example there. Adding my table, right? So now I have one of those key visuals that I required. I was having some trouble pasting that image, so I did have to go ahead and take a screenshot of my inserted image because I did want to make sure to keep the little text box labels and dimensions on there. So the best way was just to make a screenshot, and then I copied over my caption for it. And right, that was a photo that I did take of our real RDI system. And so, right, the photo credit obviously is just my name. All right. And now we're going into the salinity cycle. Now we're going into this aquarium app, which this is an extra thing, right? You don't have to have, right, a second digital app in there. I just had this kind of extra content already created, and so chose to kind of do this option as well. And again, just kind of looking through all of its sort of little tools, options, decided to go with emojis instead of bullet points to help draw attention and symbolize kind of that core, what is this, in a way people might be able to recognize, and give everybody still the ability to scan and, skip to different content, which is a little visual marker to help them out. And then I had to snipping tool, grab these little mock-ups of the app I was describing and adding in that caption. And then last is salinity cycle. So you do need to do, right, a technical process for your assignment. So for the cycle, I made my definition stand out just like all of my other ones, so I have that consistency going across. And now, since this is, important, right, it's this process that affects the quality of aquatic livestock, I wanted to give it that nice kind of warning, like there's a risk of the livestock being in danger if we don't understand this, to draw attention and make it easier to, scan around the content. Big goal here is just giving your readers a guideline for where they should look, where they should read, especially when it is overall, kind of text-heavy content. In Coda, you can drag and create columns, and so that was just that kind of quick thing I did there. And putting some more of that info, just copying it over. Another snipping tool, snip and sketch tool. And basically all of my pages are done. And so now I'm just doing some, kind of last stuff. Decided to make these sub pages and information hierarchy. These are sub pages under the home page. Going to my share, publish, so that way I can get that link, and testing it out. I opened a new browser so I could test it out, on a different browser as well, just kind of clicking through all the buttons, doing my final proof, and that is the end of my wiki.